I'm just gonna go ahead and open up with I ain't played this game. I don't really have any interest in the game. And I haven't played RE in what has to be decades. Now? Decade? Damn. So I ain't up to speed on all the deep lore and stuff. On a whim, I decided to watch Super Horror Bros videos on RE7 and 8. And at the end of the RE8 video, he says,
"We have many questions left unanswered."
And he's absolutely right. So what I'm going to do is go through his video and ask the questions, because none of this shit makes any sense. Before we get started, let's set the ground rules. Number 1, everything stated is 100%. I don't know. I'm just going to trust that he knows. Alright, number 2, if I can think of a justification for the action that seems mildly plausible, I'm not going to bother. Number 3, if it's to be gamey or it's for the theatrics, that's no excuse. I've tried to be generous, so what we're getting here are really the circles I couldn't square because they're just that bad. I've split this video up into a few parts based on topic. There's general questions now, and then there are a few character-specific questions. The intro to the game has Mia read Forest of Shadows to Rose and the player. After Ethan puts the baby to bed, the couple has a lovely little chat before Mia randomly gets shot. After the first shot, she doesn't seem injured at all. She seems more mildly annoyed. Then she gets all shot up and then quote-unquote dies. Chris kidnaps Ethan and Rose, and then the cinematic ends as Ethan is knocked out. So,
we have many questions left unanswered.
Number 1, if this is supposed to be some kind of raid, why is there like this comically lengthy pause between the first shot and the second, so that the audience can react to the shot? Number 2, why does Mia seem mildly annoyed during that pause? Yeah, it's Miranda pretending to be Mia, I get it. But if she's trying to maintain character, I feel like Mia would have reacted a bit more. And this goes double when you remember that Mia is not just a random woman, but a former employee of The Connections. Number 3, why does Ethan just tell his wife to get down instead of pushing her or something, pulling her, whatever? Number 4, when Chris is revealed to be running the show, Ethan just asks, "What the hell?" If my wife just got gunned down in cold blood, I'd have a little more to say than, "What the hell?" Number 5, Chris just says, "Sorry, Ethan," instead of telling Ethan what's up. Chris will later reveal that he shot Miranda and not Mia, and was planning to relocate Rose and Ethan for their safety. There's no reason that Chris has to keep this a secret from Ethan. The reason it's kept a secret is so that Chris can reveal it to the audience later. But that's really dumb. The first section of the game has you conquer D Castle. At one point, the castle is locked down and can only be unlocked by using 4 masks obtained by the D sisters. The sisters are defeated by exposing them to cold, thus preventing the K2 insects from reforming their bodies. Ethan defeats the sisters, removes the castle lockdown, and continues his search for the daughter.
We have many questions left unanswered.
Why on earth would a castle be locked down with 4 keys shaped like masks that need to be placed in one location? Number 2, even supposing that you did lock down your castle with this ridiculous mask key setup, to what end? If you need to keep Ethan in, well, first of all, there are better ways to do that. But even then, typically we do not store keys in the cages that they unlock. So why even be in the castle after you locked it? You could say it's because they have to harass Ethan. But even then, there are multiple keys, 4 keys, that must all be held to unlock the door. Which means that if even one is denied, then Ethan is trapped. Just keep one key outside the castle at all times, and Ethan will be trapped and locked down forever. Number 3, if we assume Lady D knew of Ethan's unique condition, she probably would have done something better to keep him constrained than just hanging him up. Why didn't she put him in a sturdier cage? Did she expect him to escape? Number 4. Why do the sisters live in a place that will make them incredibly vulnerable if a stiff breeze comes in through the window? I get that they want to be with Lady D, but if they want to be useful, they would either not live there or have better workarounds for the problem of the cold. After beating Lady D, you pick up a flask revealed to contain a piece of rose. There are 4 pieces in total, and they're placed in one spot to allow you to pick up a chalice. Now, placing this chalice on an altar opens up the bridge to Heisenberg. Presumably, at this point, Miranda collects the offered rose goo to do her thing. But
we have many questions left unanswered.
Number 1. Why was Rose split up like that in the first place? It's revealed that Miranda needs all 4 pieces to enact her endgame. But that makes no sense. Miranda had access to Rose in her entirety. Presumably, she had all of Rose before and immediately after she was turned into goo. So why divide her into 4 to hand her over to the 4 families? This makes sense if you're trying to prevent someone from getting Rose, unlike the castle situation. However, if Miranda's goal is to have all 4 pieces of Rose in the end anyway, why even have the middleman? We can kind of get around this if we assume Miranda wants her guards defeated, which is kind of true in the game. Ethan needs to defeat the guards to prove his bloodline. But why does he even need to do that in the first place? I was under the impression it was the mold that made Rose special, not that her lineage is whatever it is. Number 2, your name is Ethan Winters. You've just collected all the pieces of your daughter, but she's in goo form. You see an altar. Do you offer your daughter the whole reason we're here in the first place on the altar to access Heisenberg's castle? Heisenberg, who was an antagonist, who tried to kill you? You do? Why? You have your daughter. We are mission accomplished. Just you have your connections to the BSAA. Just fuck off. Let Heisenberg and Miranda settle their differences their own way. Number 3. Why does offering Rose on the altar open the bridge to Heisenberg anyway? You could argue that it's not Rose herself, but the chalice that she's in. But that chalice requires the 4 keys of goo to be moved, which also doesn't make sense. But we're not here for that right now. This also brings up that classic awful design where the key to get to an important place is outside the place that it locks up. I just don't. At the end of the game, there's a little cutscene of Rose visiting Ethan's grave. Her guard decides to piss her off by calling her Evelyn. Why? He smirks as he does it too, so you know he's doing it on purpose. He knows she's a powerful bioweapon. He's needlessly putting his own life in danger. Now granted, if Rose did attack him, she probably would have been killed right there on the spot. But he'd be trading his life for the opportunity to insult the bioweapon that's a teenage girl. A teenage girl! Alright, just sit on that one for a little bit. Rose is a teenage girl. Bioweapon. Alright? So he's trading his life for the opportunity to insult the bioweapon for no reason. Now we enter the more character-specific questions. Miranda is some 100 years old. She was going to commit suicide after losing her child to the Spanish flu, but then decides not to do it after discovering the megamycete. Why does this change anything? I don't know. Maybe it's because she got superpowers or something. Anyway, she spends most of her time doing quote-unquote research to resurrect her daughter. Fast forward 100 years, Miranda discovers Ethan and Mia Winters. Miranda's plan is to kidnap their daughter Rose, verify her bloodline, which she should already know due to her connections with the connections, and then use her to resurrect her child from 100 years ago. It's hard for me to guess whether she wanted the resurrected kid to have mold powers or not. However, since she ultimately wants to control the masses, mold powers are probably definitely required for that. Anyway,
we have many questions left unanswered.
Number 1. The first and probably my biggest question is, Miranda, how long exactly was she posing as Mia? Now this is a big question to me because I feel like a lot of this game is a waste of time unless that period of time is short. If she posed as Mia for a day and BSAA found out, then we can let this game happen. However, if that period of time is long, this is a huge waste of time. If her only goal is to kidnap Rose, she only needs to find a short window of time where she and Ethan are separated to do so. She's strong enough to blow up the truck during Rose and Ethan's transport to safety. She can probably do it just fine on her own, which she should be able to find unless Ethan is literally on the baby at all times. And maybe he is. Maybe he is. But he has to sleep sometime, right? There are probably tons of kidnap windows you would have gotten over the course of a week. So how long was Miranda posing as Mia? Well, it has to be a while. When you pick up Mia, she says they've been running experiments on her. The wiki says Miranda posed as Mia for several days. Apparently she swapped during some kind of marital conflict period. This suggests that she definitely had windows to up and off with Rose. So why didn't she? Unless it wasn't Rose that this 100-year-old lady wanted. Know what I'm saying? Number 2. Why does Miranda think that Rose can be used to resurrect her child from 100 years ago? I'm willing to accept. She just wanted the baby with superpowers. But she seems to want Rose in some weird connection with her baby. Why does she believe that there's some connection between the baby and Rose? Heisenberg. Heisenberg is one of the 4 lords. He's been secretly building some kind of robot army for a while, with the intent to take down Miranda. He proposes that he and Ethan work together, using Rose as a weapon to kill Miranda. He captures Ethan by controlling metal to imprison Ethan, brings him to Miranda, is permitted to contain Ethan, sends him into a death trap, and the rest of the story continues from there.
We have many questions left unanswered.
Number 1. If Heisenberg wants to use Ethan and Rose to kill Miranda, why does he try to kill Ethan at the beginning of the game? You could argue that he actually planned for Ethan to escape. That doesn't make sense either. First of all, he brought Ethan to Miranda in the first place. This risks losing custody of Ethan. The best option for them would have been to hide Ethan in a cupboard or something. But maybe Miranda has eyes. He didn't think he could do that. Fair. So why does he toss Ethan into a death trap then? What if Ethan accidentally died? Later he says he can't be bothered to kill Ethan. But if that's true, why did he try to kill Ethan earlier? And then he tries to kill Ethan later. So what's his deal? Is Heisenberg tsundere? Is he just a tsundere? Number 2. When Ethan comes up to Heisenberg later, Heisenberg punts him into a pit saying, "Don't come back." Why doesn't he just outright kill Ethan then and there? It's super easy for him to. We saw in literally the first part of the game, he can just crush Ethan on the telekinetically controlled metal. Number 3. When Ethan does come back in a tank made of metal, why does he just control the metal to crush Ethan? Why does he allow the metal arm of the tank to fire a gun on his weak spot? Based on everything seen until this easily seems to be within his capability. Chris has been doing some kind of not solo op in the village for a while. Ethan discovers Chris after falling into Heisenberg's pit. Chris tells Ethan the truth there, instead of at the beginning of the game when Ethan asked him about it. Now Chris is building a tank to take on Heisenberg and Miranda? What? He gives Ethan the tank, and the two take on Heisenberg.
We have many questions left unanswered.
Number 1. How long has Chris been down in this pit? It's kind of important, because he has a whole goddamn tank down here, and I feel that it would take a lot of time for one man to build a tank. Number 2, why is he building a metal tank to take on the guy that can control metal? I mean, yeah, it works out, but it doesn't seem like something a smart guy would do. Like, this is the guy that's like trying to use a gun to kill Magneto. I don't think that works. Number 3, how did Chris not know about Ethan's condition? They've been running tests on the whole goddamn family, yet they couldn't figure out that Ethan had a special condition? Which brings us to my final question. Ethan was dead at the end of Sixth Sense. At the end of the day, it's revealed that Ethan was killed in Louisiana. Ethan has been hiding in Eastern Europe for up to 3 years. How did Ethan have a child with Mia if he's been dead the whole time? You are not about to tell me that a moldy nut produced a goddamn child. So yeah, Super Horror Bros was right. We are left with a few questions, but that's about it though. Links to his videos for RE7 and RE8 are in the description. Thanks for watching.